secretive. I mean, I used to tell guys in the battalions, and they've gotten better about that. But I used to talk to the battalion guys like, hey, this is what we do, and explain it to them so that we could get more dudes because we were always short on guys. But yeah, we had tons of freedoms. We Man, I planned my own deployments a lot of times. Like I planned my flight overseas on the deployments. I planned my flights in country. Like I mean, literally everything we did was kind of on you. So it was cool.
Do you have any missions from your time at the RRC that stand out as that was a crazy one, that was a fun one, or anything like that? Like one that really is out there.
Not so much. Most of them were like eventful things like gunfights that I got in, with the Line Ranger Battalion guys. One of those was, I mean, because the low vis stuff, if you do it right, it should be uneventful. It should be kind of boring, actually. And so, thank God, I guess I did it the right way. I mean, because I've never gotten any incidences out running around by myself, in town and stuff. But I did go on a mission up in Condu's one time. The time I was telling you, there was Delta Force guys and there was a Ranger platoon. And this was a rare mission. It was a daytime mission, which we don't do a ton of those, but we do them occasionally. And so all of a sudden I hear a knock on my door, and it's normally it was in the evening. They were like, "Hey, Sergeant, hey, you want to go on a mission with us?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I always say yes. So I'd roll out. And then this time I got a knock on my door kind of early in the morning. It was around probably 8 o'clock or so in the morning. They were like, "Hey," one of the privates came over just seeing, "Hey, do you want to go on a mission with us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm free. Let's roll." So I went over, got the brief, figured out what it was, got on the birds. We flew out, flew in the daytime, and I flew with the weapons squad guys. So like their weapons squad guys set up as a support by fire, and then the assaulters were on other birds. So we flew in. We probably landed 150, 200 yards from the target. This is what we call landing on the X, which was rare that we did this. But during the daytime, the element of surprise is it's a lot of times your speed. You know what I mean? They're gonna see you coming from a mile away. So just get there on top of them and real fast. So we come in, land, boom, get off the bird super fast. Birds flush out. We're moving towards the target building, and I'm hearing like a sound that's like bang, 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 which could be a nine banger. We have these bangers that have this really rhythmic bang, or it could have been an enemy fired an AK. But I'm like, okay, it could be a banger. We might not be in combat. Like I'm processing these things as we're moving up to see if we're in a gunfight or if it's just us engaging with a banger. And then all of a sudden I hear suppressed fire. It's like, psh, 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 psh. I'm like, oh, we're in a gunfight because our dudes are shooting now. So we get there, we move up to the target building. It was like a mud compound, kind of out away from other compounds next to a road. And on the far side was like a drive-through gate where the platoon sergeant and the assaulters went around that side. And then where I was at was the black side security, which is on the back side of the building. And there was one little walk-through door there. They've got rangers on ladders up over with suppressors over the walls engaging in. I go to this door. Well, the platoon sergeant had gone around to the other side, and he called for the bad guys to open the door and let us in because this was like towards the end. So we had to do call outs at the time, which we didn't agree with, but it was what we were required to do. So they would get on a megaphone with the Afghan with our interpreter and say, "Hey, come out of the building. American forces are here. Like if you don't come out, we're coming in. Don't fight us or you'll get killed," basically. And then we put it on them to whether they want to come out or not. And so these guys didn't want to come out. So they shot through the door. And the platoon sergeant, to be honest, was a little complacent on this one, which I've been there too, like multiple times. So he goes up to open the door. And as he's opening the door back, AK rounds come through the door and a bullet hit his body armor and fragmented through his forearm, like an AK round. So, I mean, it caused tons of damage to his arm. But he was like, ah, dog. He bandaged it up and he ended up calling it over the radio. He's like, these son of a guns just shot me. He's like, let's back off and level this thing. Meanwhile, I'm on the other side of the building suppressing in there, and I'm like, I don't see anybody, but I can see some shadows moving in this room, but I can't see anybody. I'm hearing AK fire that shot at him, but I can't see the guy that's doing it. And so then eventually the dude backs in to reload his AK. He backs completely into the room, and I could see him down this hallway. Smoke that dude. He goes down. Then we were receiving fire from another room. So there was a window, like imagine like an old school wooden window with like the wooden things like this. It looks like a tic-tac-toe thing, but then the glass panes. So some of those were shot out, but not all of them. And we're receiving fire from there. So one of the young rangers comes up and I'm like, "Hey, dude, you got a frag on you?" He's like, yeah, I'm like, chuck it in that window. So I'm suppressing in the door, and then I hop out of the way, let him chuck the grenade, and then hop back and suppress. He throws the grenade, man, such a lucky but not good throw. It went and it hit right on one of those wood things and then bounced out right in front of us. We're like, God. So we turn around, boom, let that thing go, hide behind the wall. And then next thing you know, now the bad guys are chucking grenades out at us. And their grenades aren't that powerful. So I mean, they're really not unless they're right up on you. So they're throwing at us. We're just like ducking and taking some of the dust and debris in the backside and then turn back around and shoot, and try to get behind the wall as much as we can. Then the dude throws another grenade. It goes right through the hole, blows up in the room. That shooting stops. Meanwhile, we get the call from the platoon sergeant. He says, let's back off and level this thing. So we backed off, and we call in, like, we had regular Army air support at the time because it was a daytime mission. So we had Apaches come in and threw some Hellfires in there, blowing it up. Then we got word that a bad guy had crawled out into a ditch and was crawling through the ditch. And at this point in time, the platoon sergeant was like, "Hey, we need to go clear the ditch." So me and one or two of the squad leaders went over there, literally crawled in the ditch that was overgrown with like brush and briars, almost like trench clearing, like you hear about from Vietnam or the tunnel rat type thing. That's the way I looked at it. So we went in there, cleared that thing, smoked that dude. There was a dude in there, but he was beat up pretty bad, so he didn't even fire back. We just shot him, killed him in his place. Went back into the house, and then as we go back in the house, we had to send our Afghans in first at this point. So we sent them in, and then one of the Afghans came out and was like, he's like, Mister, there's a guy in there. I'm like, is he got a gun or what? And like that was it. That's all the intel I got from that guy. So I'm like, okay. So I started to go in there as like one of the first Americans to go into the building with the platoon sergeant. And then one of the team leaders was like, "Hey, Sergeant, can I go?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on, let's roll." So we roll in there. We go into the house, and there's a dude laid up on the rubble, like bleeding out of his ears and nose. And I shot that dude. And then we go around. There's another dude laid up. I take that back. I didn't shoot that dude. That one team leader that was there was like, "Hey, Sergeant, should I shoot him?" I was like, "Yeah, shoot him," because like he'd never probably killed a bad guy before. So he shot that guy while I just watched him. We went around, and let me back it up too. Prior to this, the platoon sergeant, he's shot in his arm. One of his squad leaders, his weapon went down. So he said, "Hey, my rifle doesn't work. Can somebody swap out with me?" So the platoon sergeant gave him his rifle, and then I gave him my Glock 22, which was like the big tactical Glocks that we had, 40 cal Glock. So I gave him my Glock 22. So the platoon sergeant's got a hole through his arm, bandaged up. He's right-handed, but he's got my Glock left-handed. And we go in there. There's another dude laid up on there, and I was like finishing with my Glock. Dude takes a shot, single-handed center punch that dude right in the forehead. So, and that's the platoon sergeant that just got shot through the arm. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then after that, we finished clearing everything, sent the dogs in to clear it even more. And then the platoon leader made the platoon sergeant go back. So they called in a medevac for him, and he was pissed about that because he didn't want to leave the boys. But that's kind of like, I think that's a good story because that's the way it works overseas. I mean, it'd be the same with any of the other special operations units. A seasoned fighter gets shot. He's like, "I'm not leaving because I'm capable still." But the officers just made him leave, because it was better for him. Honestly, he needed to get treated.
That you are a wealth of you are a well of deep stories. I'm loving this interview. This is the most fun I've had in a long, long time. You mentioned in our pre-interview that you had done the Cambrian patrol,
Yep.
and that the Americans showed up and kicked everyone's ass. So can you explain what that